The power of knowing your worth. Aretha Franklin was more than just a legendary singer. She was a force of nature, a symbol of resilience, and an advocate for respect and dignity. Her journey from a young gospel singer in Detroit to the Queen of Soul is filled with lessons of perseverance, self-belief, and the importance of knowing one's worth. Perhaps the most powerful lesson she imparted to the world is this: know your worth and demand the respect you deserve. Early life and struggles. Aretha Franklin was born on March 25, 1942, in Memphis, Tennessee. Her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, was a famous preacher, and her mother, Barbara Franklin, was an accomplished pianist and vocalist. Music was in her blood, and from an early age, she sang in her father's church, stunning congregations with her voice. However, Aretha's early life was not easy. Her parents separated when she was young, and her mother passed away when Aretha was just 10 years old. These hardships forced her to grow up quickly and navigate a challenging world without the guidance of her mother. By the age of 14, Aretha was already a recording artist, traveling with her father's gospel group. But as much as she loved gospel, she had bigger dreams. She wanted to be a mainstream star. At 18, she moved to New York City and signed with Columbia Records. Despite her undeniable talent, her early career struggled. Columbia saw her as a jazz and pop singer rather than recognizing the raw soul in her voice. It wasn't until she switched to Atlantic Records in 1967 that she truly found her sound and her power. Finding her voice and her power. With Atlantic Records, Aretha was finally given the creative freedom to sing the way she wanted. That year, she recorded Respect, a song originally written and performed by Otis Redding. But instead of simply covering it, Aretha transformed it. She added the now iconic R-E-S-P-E-C-T spelling and the phrase, "Sock it to me," turning it from a man's plea into a bold anthem of empowerment. Aretha's version of Respect was more than just a song. It was a declaration. It spoke to women demanding equality, to Black Americans fighting for civil rights, and to anyone who had ever felt overlooked or undervalued. The song became a cultural phenomenon, topping the charts and earning Aretha her first 2 Grammy Awards. This was a turning point in her life. She had finally taken control, not just over her music, but over her image, her message, and her career. She refused to be told what she could or couldn't do, and from that moment on, she set the terms for her success. A lesson in knowing your worth. Aretha Franklin's career was filled with moments that reinforced her most powerful lesson: if you don't demand respect, the world won't give it to you. One story that illustrates this happened later in her career. By the 1980s, she was already a music icon. Yet, even with her status, she faced challenges that many women in the music industry still endure, especially when it came to being paid fairly. During an event, a promoter tried to underpay her for a performance. Instead of accepting the lower fee, Aretha refused to perform until she was given what she was owed. She had learned that, as a Black woman in the music business, she had to stand firm. She once famously said, "I don't get up for less than a certain amount." She demanded that her worth be recognized, and because of her confidence, she always got what she deserved. Her refusal to accept less than she was worth became legendary. Unlike many artists who relied on managers or agents, Aretha often handled her own business deals. She was known for insisting on being paid in cash before she performed, ensuring she was never cheated. This lesson, knowing your value and standing firm, applies to everyone, whether in business, relationships, or personal growth. Her impact on civil rights and feminism. Aretha's influence went beyond music. She was deeply connected to the civil rights movement, inspired by her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, who was a close friend of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She used her voice not only to entertain, but to uplift and empower. During the 1960s, at the height of racial tensions in America, Aretha donated money, performed at benefits, and stood beside civil rights leaders. When Dr. King was assassinated in 1968, she sang at his memorial service, bringing the world to tears with her moving performance of "Precious Lord, Take My Hand." She also became a symbol of feminism. At a time when women in the music industry were often controlled by record labels and managers, Aretha took charge of her own career. She showed women everywhere that they could be powerful, successful, and demand the same respect as their male counterparts. Her music, from Respect to Natural Woman, became anthems for women's empowerment, breaking barriers and making history. Aretha Franklin's legacy is filled with firsts. In 1987, she became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, breaking barriers in a male-dominated industry. She performed at 3 presidential inaugurations: Jimmy Carter, 1977, Bill Clinton, 1993, and Barack Obama, 2009. Her emotional rendition of "My Country," "'Tis of Thee" at Obama's inauguration while wearing an unforgettable gray hat, became one of the most memorable moments in American history. She continued to make history until the very end. In 2017, Detroit renamed a street Aretha Franklin Way to honor her contributions. When she passed away in 2018, the world mourned, and she was given a funeral fit for a queen, complete with performances from some of the greatest artists of all time. The lesson that lives on. Aretha Franklin's life teaches us that respect starts with how you see yourself. She never settled for less than she deserved, whether in her career, her business dealings, or her personal life. She knew her worth and wasn't afraid to demand that the world recognize it. This lesson applies to all of us. Whether you're negotiating a salary, standing up for yourself in a relationship, or pursuing a dream, remember Aretha's wisdom. If you don't ask for respect, you won't get it. If you don't demand your worth, others will undervalue you. Her story is proof that self-respect is the key to success. By believing in herself, Aretha Franklin became a legend, and through her music, her activism, and her unshakable confidence, she left behind a legacy that continues to inspire generations. So the next time you hear respect, remember, it's not just a song, it's a way of life. Stand tall, know your worth, and never settle for less than you deserve. Thank you for your time. Please like, share, and subscribe.